Hello, welcome back to the channel. Today it's part 2 of a video I did just a few months ago talking about the most difficult movement in golf and how you can master it. I truly believe that getting a handle on the way that your shoulders are turning through the golf ball is basically the core of any good golf swing. And if this is something you're wanting to do, you've got to understand how difficult it is to do and how difficult it is to actually get yourself doing it correctly. In order to do it correctly, what we're looking for is for your shoulders to be turning in plane. Turning in plane basically means that if you look at the shaft angle in the address position, your shoulders should be turning parallel to that shaft angle through the swing. Both in the backswing and in the follow through, you want them turning in plane with the original shaft angle. And what is so difficult about that is basically the combination of hip rotation and shoulder rotation you're going to need. Unfortunately, although your hips are not driving your shoulders, they are allowing your shoulders to turn. Therefore, you are never going to be able to turn your shoulders enough without getting your hips to rotate. But they're all or both rotating in different planes. Your hips are rotating in a flat plane, your shoulders are rotating in a steep plane. And this steep plane that your shoulders rotate in requires both a side bend and a rotation to happen at exactly the same time. You are going to get your body to do two things at the same time. If you can do this, then this rotation of your shoulders would be able to guide your arms, your hands and the golf club through the golf ball. But this is, like I say, the most difficult movement in golf. So I wanted to again give you a few ideas of things you can do to change it. As I said at the end of the last video, and I shall leave a link up here, what we're trying to do is to get the hips to rotate and the shoulders to come down at the same time. Although we are starting the downswing with our lower body, the upper body is automatically and immediately starting to move as well. We're not waiting for movement to move up your spine to your upper body. On the contrary, we're wanting to get the first crunch happening in your stomach and back muscles to start pulling that trail shoulder down. At the same time, you want this lead shoulder to be opening up, the tension in your lead side to be releasing, and you want to get this feeling that your shoulders are rotating at the same time as they're being pulled down and up as you start the swing. Unfortunately, as I said, this is one of the most difficult things that we do in a golf swing, and one of the things that we will see is either people get too quick contraction in the trail side and they're tilting back away from the target, which will usually cause an early release, a swing from the inside, but one which is probably going to catch the ground or actually spoon the ball into the air. Or on the contrary, they're getting the rotational movement happening too quickly, which is getting them coming from the outside. Even with passive arms, they're coming too steep into the golf ball. They're pulling and slicing the golf ball. And this is basically due just to this one problem, this one movement that we're trying to actually get going in the downswing. So what else can you do to try and get a better movement through the golf ball? Well, I talked about a year or a year and a half, I think, in the first lockdown about a position that you see all good golfers in shortly after impact. And I'd like to kind of go a step past this position into what I would call basically the station. If you can kind of drive the train through this station, this position where your trail shoulder has actually got to the height of the golf ball, your hips are rotated as far as they can possibly go, and you still have both arms straight after the release, then what you're actually doing is you're using reverse engineering to actually pull back this, this movement and say, well, if I get myself to here, then I can't have been too bad here. The trouble with impact is that it's a thousandths of a second, or 5,000ths if we're honest, but you aren't going to be able to consciously control that. On the contrary, getting your body to move with small swings to this position, this is something you can control. By looking at slow motion swings, you will be able to see if you are getting your body into the right position. Checking that this wall that we have here on the left side of the body, you're getting your body up against that at impact. You don't want to be tilting away from this wall, because that's what basically I'm talking about if you're getting more side bend or early side bend and you're not getting enough rotation. At the same time, you don't want to be sliding through the wall, because by going too much laterally, you're also going to go into a bit of a tilt away from the target with your upper body. But we also don't want to be moving in this direction. We don't want the shoulders moving up and through the wall. I don't know how many of you have read Hogan's Modern Fundamentals, but he was talking about having a pane of glass over his shoulders when he swung with a hole cut out. And his feeling was that the shoulders were moving under this pane of glass, the trail shoulder down and forward, the lead shoulder up and back. Anything like this could really help you to kind of get an image that he's not going to be able to move his head right and left inside of this hole in the pane of glass, but at the same time he is going to be able to rotate through and under the pane of glass, which will obviously lead his arms, hands and club on a neutral path through the ball. So if we just kind of go into a summary of what I've been on about here, it's really about getting this rotation of hips and shoulders synchronized, making sure that you're getting enough depth with the trail shoulder to keep you on plane, but at the same time, you're bringing the trail shoulder forward to the ball. And like I say, it will be easier to check that by basically making some shots where you stop just after impact with your arms straight and your shoulders down. You should be in this plane. You should have a feeling of being crunched in the trail side, stretched in the lead side. You should have the feeling that the face has not really rotated too much through impact. You haven't flipped the club to there. You've actually kept it straight and you've kept the hands from rotating over too early in the swing. And you should be able to hit some pretty good solid golf shots just doing this. For a lot of people, it might actually remind you of kind of punching a golf ball out there, but just using a little bit of hinge in the backswing when you do it. Again, that's not a bad picture to have, this kind of punching of the ball, yeah, because that is a picture that you could take with you on the golf course. It's a feeling that maybe that you've had before, you just didn't realize you should have a similar feeling when you're swinging the golf club. It's amazing how many keys that we have and how many belief systems which are maybe blocking abilities that we actually already possess, simply because we thought, well, I'm not supposed to be hitting down as steep as I do when I'm punching the golf ball, but maybe you should be. And again, if you've got access to a launch monitor, that will tell you whether your angle of attack is getting too steep. But I believe as long as you're getting your shoulder down over the ball after you hit it, or where the ball was after you've hit it, then you won't be getting too steep on it. And if you find that you're getting too steep, just move the ball position a little bit further forward. Hope this helps you to finally kind of get that position that you've been looking for at impact all these years. A little bit of reverse engineering should help you to get this most difficult movement in golf really into flesh and blood. And once you've done that, there's not going to be any holding you back. As ever, if you enjoyed it, hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so. I'll be back very shortly with a new video. Thanks to all of my patrons for supporting the channel. If you would like to become a patron of the channel, I shall leave a link below. Otherwise, we'll see you all very, very shortly. Bye-bye.